Welcome back to the final credits, where today we will be talking about a two-time Oscar-nominated rom-com called Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, whatever. Rom-com.
Wow.
All
See
right,
'em
well,
when you
welcome
see 'em
back.
all.
And so Sleepless in Seattle. Supposedly, this is one of the top 10 rom-coms ever produced. Guys, what do you guys think?
So
When
Sleepless in
Harry Met Sally
Seattle.
did it better.
When
One at a
Sleepless in
time.
Seattle. Sleepless in Seattle is a tragic story about a poor man who was born with every allergy known to man and just had every bad hand dealt to him, and he just lost his wife to somebody across, some crotchety old man across the country. That he lost his wife, fine, but he was just I don't like this. I don't like the story. I don't like this movie. I
This
don't like
movie
rom-com.
is so unrealistic at
It's
all.
of course it is. It's a rom-com. It's and I feel like it's the rom-com that started the trend of like stupid, like the Notebook, like
So
girlfriends who pull their boyfriends into movies, types of rom-coms that we saw in like the
Yes.
90s and 2000s. Like this movie walks so all those other movies could run. And I'm like, I remember just watching, thinking like, oh, this is where all these stupid tropes came from. Okay, let's go. Fine,
so
but take it away, guys.
here's the thing, though. This is one of those movies I'm almost positive my parents probably saw growing up, and it's like, I'm going to make sure my son never does any of the shenanigans that this kid does in the movie. Handing out numbers, mailing addresses, calling up radio stations for no reason whatsoever, just to be the best wingman ever for his dad.
It was nice that he did that for his dad.
It was nice, but at the same time, I just keep thinking to myself, if a kid ever did that, like, what? How do we have all this mail? I gave it to the radio station. Why? Because they won't let you call if you don't. Like, why do you have to call?
Also, if you break it down, it's about a woman unhappy in her relationship, pretty much stalking somebody. She hired a private investigator
I wanted to say
take
that, yeah.
photos. Yeah. Across the country. She travels across the country. It's
You
definitely
nailed it, though.
dated.
Pancakes, you nailed it. Like, this is a woman who stalked someone, went to their house, was like across the street, and was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to stand here and maybe wave and say hi.
Well,
And
she
then
was
that's
doing
it.
it. She was doing it for her job, right? Wasn't she like a
Yeah, but
reporter or
that's
something like
yes,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, but she
But
took it too
still,
far. She definitely took it way too far. It was
yeah,
just so
yeah.
like nobody in a reporting like job scenario, like even if like the story was compelling that they heard on the radio, it's like, come on, like it's like you said, like she's just going there just to stand there so he can find her. Do your job. You're not doing your job.
All matters of life, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, and this was completely the wrong way of just
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
oh yeah, let me do my job and everything, but let me also interfere in his life.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to the son dynamic, like I get there are parent-child relationships that are the walls are down low, like but they can talk about a lot of stuff. But this kid was like, how old was this kid? Like 7?
10?
No,
10 maybe?
he seemed younger than
Eight.
that.
8
Yeah.
years old.
I would say 7 or 8. This guy's talk like I'm not saying he's a bad dad, but like this guy's talking about anything with this kid. They're talking about sex, they're talking about this and that, and relationships. And I'm like, this guy, like,
Bad
first of all,
parenting.
he's not a good dad. He's not a
No,
good
he's not.
dad. He's like I don't want to say he's not a good dad, but he's not like a conscious dad. Like he's just so wrapped up in his own like sorrow. He's very selfish. He doesn't like, the kid, the kid would run away if he wanted to, and he probably wouldn't notice for a week. You know what I mean? Like it was just that type of character that he just didn't care what was going on with the kid if the kid wasn't serving him as a wingman, like you said. Like, he was just there to back him up. He was just supporting his dad as a wingman. He wasn't his son. I felt like it shouldn't have been his son. It should have just been his next door neighbor, his bar buddy or some shit that he was just looking for love, you know?
Also, something else I do want to add to this too. I understand trauma affects everyone differently. I get that. But to pack up your entire life and move all the way out to Seattle because something terrible happened in your life? Really?
Well,
Seattle?
think about this, right? Back then, everyone was saying that, you know, Seattle is a very depressing place because it rains a lot and everyone's all depressed and over there.
Still is.
So, right. Okay, sure. But the point is like, he's feeling depressed. So he's like, let me go move somewhere that's more depressing than what I am.
Sure. Great. Amazing logic.
Stretch,
I was saying, if I moved every time something bad happened in my life or I lost somebody in my life, I'd be in freaking Thailand by now. Going by his logic, you know, like it's not something that the normal everyday person does to deal with grief.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Not that this did much to save the movie, but the cast list is pretty interesting. Obviously, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in the two leads. Tom Hanks' real life wife Rita Wilson in a supporting role. Rosie O'Donnell. Rob Reiner, who's like a legend across the business, director and comedy.
I actually liked Rosie in this movie. She was great.
I do too.
Fine.
I enjoyed
her. One ironic thing, David Hyde Pierce is well known for playing Niles, Fraser's brother. That takes place in Seattle.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Bill Pullman, of course.
That poor soul. That's the most tragic character in the entire freaking movie. Like, I just felt like he wasn't like an amazing guy either, but like he just had like one bad thing happen, like the dinner scene in the beginning. He just couldn't make that dinner work. He's just allergic to everything. Can't have that. Can't have this. Can't have that. Anything that any joke he makes just like isn't hitting with them. Like they just think, and then at the end they're like, oh yeah, you know, they love you. They love you. Don't worry. No, they don't love you, man.
Unlike another famous role that he plays, you know, his relationship with Meg Ryan did go quietly into the night in New York as she waits to the Empire State Building. One thing I'd point out, another thing unrealistic, the son's friend able to buy an airline ticket on what's supposed to be the early stages of the internet, traveling cross country. I just felt like I know it wasn't at Christmas time. I felt like he was gonna walk past Kevin McAllister in the streets, you know, and nod and keep going. That would have been a great.
There's like all the things that we grew up with about, like, you know, don't do things on the internet, don't like give out your this. So the reason why is because of this kid.
Definitely,
that's why.
100%.
I guess another thing I could have get by is I know it was like a hairstyle at the time, like Tom Hanks rocking a mullet.
Well, it was the 90s.
He had a hairstyle. He had a hairstyle in a bunch of movies, like Big and he had another movie he was in around that time, but that was his look back then, I think.
And you can talk about how like dated the movie was, like the early computers, like how the search engines on the journalist computer. I saw a typewriter. The hairstyle.
This is 30 after all. Yeah,
it is 30.
Technology. Actually, you're not seeing any smartphones, that's for sure.
And are you sure this wasn't the first version, the prequel to You Got Mail, because he got plenty of mail to his house?
No. Even though
Meg Ryan, right?
I believe that was also Meg Ryan, and also I believe
Ryan.
it's the same director, Nora Ephron.
I know
Sleepless
in Seattle is based on like how he called into the radio show, and that was the nickname he was given. But the movie was all over the place. Like, he went to New York, he went to Baltimore, went to Washington, D.C. She stalked him all the way to Seattle. Now, if you're a fan of rom-coms, this movie is for you. You know, just the story just dragged at
I've
times.
seen better.
You know
I've
what?
seen
Yeah,
better rom-coms.
I'm with Johnny. Like I said at the very beginning of this, When Harry Met Sally,
I was just gonna say that.
this, but better. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is a worse version of When Harry Met Sally, and I
And
enjoy
Harry
When
Met Sally came out in '89.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I've like things like Dear John and Love Actually,
Oh,
like stuff like that.
God,
Like,
no.
there's actual substance to it. You know what I mean? This was just like I felt like everything was just happening to serve the plot and to just make sure that the two love interests just were in the same vicinity at the same time, no matter how unrealistic the circumstances were to make that happen. And
But see,
the
here's the
movie
thing,
suffered
though.
for it.
They Sleepless in Seattle had to walk so these other movies can run.
That's what I was saying.
Right.
It wasn't the greatest, but it needed to happen so that way other people can make better versions of it.
You know what, though,
Yeah.
Spade? I'm going back to this, and I'm not sorry. When Harry Met Sally walked so that Sleepless in Seattle could trip.
You know what? I'll give
That's
it to you.
good.
Sure. Let's
That
go
is
with
good.
it. But listen, here's the thing. Obviously, this movie was well loved, and the reason why is because it had a $70 million budget, but it only made no, sorry, it had a $21 million budget, but it only made $227.8 million.
Mhm.
Holy.
Yeah, no, it was a hit for its day. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Big hit.
But at the same time, though, I don't understand why.
Well, because how often were rom-coms a thing back then, right?
We had a couple again when Harry
Yeah,
Met Sally. Granted,
here
a
and
couple
there.
years in between, but
Right.
yeah,
So it wasn't a big thing. So when everyone back then was like, "Ooh, this is a love story and it's a comedy, it's a rom-com. Let's go watch it. We got nothing to do on Friday night."
But the thing is too, like you got to remember, like just how people were back then. Like the
Right.
early '90s, like
That's
couples
true.
like handle each other differently. Like what guys like, what women like back then. Like this is the type of stuff that women back then would eat up. Like it doesn't matter how silly or unrealistic or disjointed the story is. Like as long as like the cute stuff happens, that's all the main audience needs, and that's what.
And it was also
movie's trying to
probably-
sell.
And this was also probably a huge hit because Tom Hanks, like, this is around the time period Tom Hanks became a superstar. Forrest Gump, A League of Their
Right.
Own.
No,
Harry
Forrest
Met
Gump was
Sally, like,
afterwards, wasn't
no, I was about to say Forrest
Big.
Gump did come out till like
it?
later.
95, 96, something like that.
No,
Yeah.
Big. I think his success from Big he was
Uh,
coming off.
But
of.
I was about to say this is him coming off of Big, but I think Forrest Gump is what made Tom Hanks like the superstar that we know now. But like
Mhm.
this is him on his way to the top.
Forrest Gump was the next year.
there
Philadelphia was 93, so he,
Oh, that's what it is. Philadelphia. He won an Oscar for Philadelphia.
Then there
Even
you go.
though
Okay.
Sleepless in Seattle got nominated for 2 Oscars and they lost them both.
Mhm.
The other movie.
he won Oscars back to back. Philadelphia and Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is pretty much part of pop culture. So this was when he's been big, for over 30 something years. But
Big.
this is the time period, including this movie, where that propelled him to superstardom.
I see you, Johnny.
Mhm. Totally went over pancakes.
But-
Yeah.
Anyway,
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Nah, you'll see it when you watch the video.
I was
Yeah,
about to say,
so-
yeah.
okay. You guys really think that even in the 90s they would let a little kid in the airplane without an adult?
No,
No,
absolutely not.
No. Even if like 9/11 never happened, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys really think that the Empire State Building would let some little random kid go all the way to the top?
No.
Well, not a random kid. No.
How responsible is this adult who is watching out over this kid or who's at the gates?
Is no adult. That's what I'm talking about.
Jesus.
This kid did everything by himself.
It wouldn't be the only 90s movie to make something like that happen, but
That's true.
just add it to the list, honestly.
But I do agree with Johnny when he said that Tom Hanks's character was a really bad father. He,
Yeah.
he was horrible.
He was
He
selfish.
was not a good dad. Yeah.
He was completely selfish. He didn't care. Like
Horrible.
I felt like he didn't even look at his son most of the time when he was talking to him.
Forget
He was
about
always
that.
like preoccupied with something else. You know,
The first woman that actually wanted to date him, he's like, okay, we're now in a relationship, and he's bringing him around his kid. Like, you shouldn't do that. No,
he had no idea what to do. Like,
a little too early, a little too soon.
Way too early.
Yeah,
especially since like the kid wanted to break them up because he's like, Dad, no, she doesn't like baseball. This other lady that we've never met before, she likes baseball. Like, that's nice, son. Go to your room.
Dumb.
This was like the '90s version of Tinder. That's basically what it was.
Oh God,
Jesus Christ! I don't even want
that's
to know.
another reason why I can't stand it. Then,
but like even like the ending too, I just felt like it. Like they saw each other and they walk for a bit, and then they go into the door, and then it's over. You don't see what happens.
Love.
What? No, but you don't even see what happens after they finally meet. It's like, okay, they made it. They didn't. Did they even kiss? No, right? They can't.
I don't think so.
She just got off. I don't know if she just divorced the other guy or not, but like,
well, they never got married. They were engaged.
They were engaged. I mean, yeah, they didn't like. I guess they did officially break up, but like then and you immediately see this guy afterwards. So it's like what happens after you finally meet? You know, like there was a whole part of this movie that wasn't shown, and they just cut straight to the credits.
Here's the thing, Mr. 64. That is a trope for all '90s movies because you have such a great.
I've been noticing a trend.
Yes.
And the end of every single '90s movie is like open-ended. It's like just in case you want to make a sequel. It's there.
Also, if I may, leaving the person you're engaged with to go cross-country to meet someone you've never met in your life, thereby breaking one relationship in the hope of possibly forming one in another.
Poor Bill Pullman. Poor Bill Pullman, man. Like, he didn't deserve any of this. It's tragic. This story could be spun around as a tragedy for this guy. This poor guy.
It is a tragedy.
Yeah. This guy was just dealt a bad hand from birth. Like, ay. But man, and the music too. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember the music, but like I felt like it was a lot of like violin, like classic sounding ish.
It was a tragic story.
But like just like that formal romantic comedy music that was like a drama type of happy. Like it just was so generic from what I remember too.
I was about to say I agree with you, but I do feel like it was just straight up generic rom-com kind of like happy-go-lucky music. Like nothing stuck out whatsoever.
You know what the sad thing about this is the fact that the director for this movie was the person who wrote When Harry Met Sally.
Oh,
really?
So this must have been like the scraps on the writing floor. Like,
what are you doing? Like, you made a hit, and then I mean, obviously they're both hits. They, everybody made money on it. But the point is, like, I feel one is better than the other, even though they were both written by that same person who also wrote You've Got Mail. So it's like that. There's a trend with Nora. She likes just making rom-coms.
Hey, listen, to each your own.
Forte.
Yeah.
Sure, I guess. Let's go with that.
All I'll say is I feel like any female viewers watching this video right now who are fans of this movie are probably going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about, and how dare you? You're four guys that are doing it, like that are ripping this movie apart. You don't know what you're talking about. So you know what? At the end of the day, yeah, we are. We are not within this demographic of this movie by any means necessary, any means possible. But like,
I don't know why. I just had like an image of like the anti-final credits coming at us in the comments.
Oh no!
And I'm like, that terrifies me for a hot second.
Oh no, it's the feminist credits.
Look. All jokes aside, I'm not saying that Nora is bad as a writer or anything like that. She did write Julie and Julia, which was a good movie. Julie and Julia was a good movie. That was, I think it was also considered a rom-com, but that was good. It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, on the other hand, I just felt like it was just missing a whole bunch of stuff, and you just left everything open to interpretation. And it's just like I didn't get like a closure to that movie. It was just
No.
They met, and that's it. That's all they got. That's it.
So, with that said, does anyone else have anything else to say before we roll those credits?
What was that movie with Ryan Gosling and
The Notebook?
No, Emma
Do not
Stone.
watch The Notebook. That is such a toxic relationship.
It was like called like Crazy Something Love or something like that.
Crazy
Stupid
Crazy Stupid Love. Yeah, that is a good rom-com. I recommend that movie if you're gonna watch any rom-com. But anyway,
So, okay, realistically, is this a classic?
No.
Technically.
Not with us.
Well, no, okay. In the sense of like, because the whole purpose behind this is, does it stand the test of time? Is it as good today as it was back then? Did it get better? Did it get worse? This movie, in today's day and age, in the year 2023, no. Absolutely
Child Protective
not.
Services would be all over his ass.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
exactly. This is just not good at all.
Yeah, not good. So, listen, these are our thoughts. Let us know how much you think we are wrong, because I'm almost positive there's going to be so much hate in the comment section. So, with that said, try and keep it civil. You know, let's have a conversation, open dialogue. Let's talk. Tell us
get a whole
how
lot of
we're
angry
wrong
moms.
or whether we're right.
Gonna get a whole lot of angry moms.
Oh, without a doubt. On that note, don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that being said, we're out. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.